Welcome to Picks and Parlays here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Nick Gieber, in for Chelsea Messenger. On this lovely Wednesday, November 6th, happy Saxophone Day, everybody. And don't forget, it's Tajik Constitution Day. I know you're all very excited about that one. Find me on Twitter, at Nick Gieber. That's at NICKGEBER. Love to hear from you. As always, we have a show that is simply jam-packed, full of free picks, with our expert handicappers that you can find at picksandparlays.net. Here's a little taste of what we've got coming up for you today. We're going to kick it off with Craig Trapp. We're going to talk some NBA and some college football. Celtics at Hornets, Blazers at Clippers, and Notre Dame at Duke. That's going to be our college football game from Craig. But never fear, we've got more college football coming up later in the show. We're going to do some NFL with Deshaun Higgs, Falcons at Saints, Panthers at Packers, and the Vikings at the Cowboys. And finally, the Duff man will cometh, Joe Duffy. College football. We're going to talk Stanford at Colorado, Louisville at Miami, Wake Forest at Virginia Tech. Those are the games we're going to cover today. And of course, we'd love to hear from you. And the way you can do that is if you find us streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. If you should fill out one of the comment sections, our producer Robbie here will see it and he will do his best to put it up on the screen so we can mention you and your comment and discuss what it is you have to say, provided, of course, it is not too rude. And too rude being the modus operandi. Not that rude, just not too rude. You can be a little rude. All right, join the discussion with us. It's hashtag Parlay Radio. That's the other way you can find us on Twitter. And if you really feel like you absolutely have to have your say, you can call us in the studio at 800-878-7529. That's 800-878-PLAY. All right, we are going to step aside, take a break. Just a reminder, when we're going to break, you might want to take this opportunity to get a pen and pencil, provided you are not driving, by the way. Provided you're not driving, because we're going to give away a lot of free picks. And if you'd like to check out other free picks, please visit us on our website, picksandparlays.net. There are a ton of them from all 35 expert handicappers that we have at Picks and Parlays. All right, it's break time. I'll be back in 3 minutes with El Guapo himself, Craig Trapp. Stay with us.
That's 800-754-4531. Are you or someone you love one of the nearly 1 million Americans living with Parkinson's disease? Every person's experience with Parkinson's is unique, and for many patients and families, that can be one of the most challenging aspects. The Michael J. Fox Foundation built a guide to health. Visit michaeljfox.org/PD360 to download the Parkinson's 360, a guide for navigating the disease. It's free and available right now. That's michaeljfox.org/PD360. Visit today.
Welcome back to Picks and Parlays Radio here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, also streaming live on iHeartRadio and TuneIn, as well as live video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show, including Kerry, watching me somewhere in Las Vegas. It's great to have her with me, as she is pretty much all the time. So little shout out there. All right, well, this is the part of the show where we bring in El Guapo himself, Craig Trapp. Craig, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Big day today, of course, hump day. Time to turn our attention to building our bankroll for huge, of course, college basketball, but really college football and the NFL starting back up again tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I know, but I know everyone's going to be really getting into all of these wonderful sports, but how are you celebrating National Saxophone Day today, Craig?
Well, it's a day I don't celebrate. So I don't celebrate holidays. Every day to me is every day above ground is a great day, right? So I celebrate, but I celebrate by putting some wagers on NBA games, and we've got a few.
Yes, we do.
For Wednesday the 7th that we want to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with Celtics and Hornets. The Celtics 5-1. They're 3-2-1 against the spread. They're currently on a 5-game winning streak. Listen, they've been perfect since that opening day loss to the Sixers. They're 9-2 straight up in the last 11, though, against Charlotte. That's their opposition. Jaylen Brown is a question mark, but could be back. Enes Kanter definitely not coming back. For the Hornets, they're 4-3. They're 4-2-1 against the spread. They're also on a win streak, however. They've made it 3 in a row, most recently winning 122-120 in that shootout win with the Pacers. Charlotte are 6-2 against the spread in the last 5 games. Nicholas Batum still out with that hand injury. Mr. Trapp, what do you see on this one?
Well, I'm actually kind of surprised that the Hornets kind of put these wins together, but those wins were against a bad Kings team, a injured Warriors team, and then, of course, that was a very good win at home against the Pacers in overtime last time out. But the Celtics, obviously, they're on a longer win streak, winning, like you said, ever since the opening game against Philly. That just really thought that they had some opportunities there. They just kind of let some get away. And, Philly's so good, especially at home. You can't let those opportunities get away. But since then, 5 wins. And they're 3-2 against the spread in their last 5. But they've been laying some big numbers here. It's a big number here. 6, laying -6 on the road against a Hornets team that has won 3 in a row with a total of 219. But I still think Boston is the play here. I think Boston, the way Kemba Walker's playing, is pretty amazing right now. I think that continues. Boston, one of the, right now they're scoring 110 points a game, only allowing 104 points a game, which the NBA we play in now, if you can hold teams under 105 per game, you're pretty good. The opposite, the Hornets, allowing 113 a game and only scoring 107. So, I think that's why if you look at the splits here, that's why this line is what it is, and I think it's deserving. And I think the favorite Boston Celtics get it done here to open the night here on I guess this would be Thursday night.
All right, so the play today is the Celtics. All right, let's move along. Next, Portland at the Clippers. Portland lost their last 2 games, most recently going down to a 118-127 defeat to Golden State. Pau Gasol, Jusuf Nurkic, Zach Collins, all out indefinitely for Portland, which is not helpful, to say the least, if you're a Blazers fan. The Clippers, 5-2, 4-3 against the spread. The last game was Sunday. They do play Milwaukee tonight being Wednesday, I believe we are. Yes, we're Wednesday. Of course, how can I forget? National Saxophone Day, Tajik Constitution Day. Silly me. Wednesday. So they're playing Milwaukee tonight. But look, Paul George is still out indefinitely, obviously. They're going to rest Kawhi Leonard tonight, Craig, in anticipation of this game tomorrow against Portland. What say you?
Well, the last time they did this, they rested Kawhi Leonard. They lost that game at Utah. They came back the next night and won it convincingly against the Spurs. I just think it's a Blazers team that's really banged up. And to beat this Clippers team when they play Kawhi Leonard and rest of them, even with Paul George out, you have to have your full squad. They won't tonight, of course. Like you said, Blazers really banged up here. I love the two. Obviously, McCollum and Lillard as good as any probably guard duo in the league right now, especially with the Warriors all banged up. But, the Clippers have their own. Lou Williams is a beast. The best sixth man in the league right now, has been for the last 3 or 4 years, and continues to be awesome this year. And then Kawhi Leonard's playing out of his mind, playing as good as anybody in the country or anybody in the NBA. And I like the Clippers here -5.5. I just think a rested Kawhi is a big problem for a Blazers team that is banged up and on the road, and their defense has not been great this year. So let's take the Clippers -5.5 with a rested Kawhi tonight.
It's going to be scary stuff for the Clippers for opposition when Paul George comes back for the Clippers.
Absolutely.
It's going to be great if you're a basketball fan, though, because you're going to see some really exciting games, with the Clippers. Got to watch my terminology here. All right, let's move on to some college football, Craig. Notre Dame ranked 16th at Duke. Notre Dame 6-2, 4-4 against the spread, coming off a 21-20 win over Virginia Tech. Ian Book passed for 1,492 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Obviously, not in that one game in particular, but that's so far this season. Duke 4-4. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? Duke 4-4, 3-2 against the spread. They lost the last 2 in a row, I think. That's right. Most recently, 17-20 defeat at hands of UNC. There's a lesson to be learned here for Duke. Stop doing trick plays because you can't do them, okay? Learn that one. Notre Dame is 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. The under is cashed in 4 of the Irish's last 5 on the road. I believe this is Notre Dame -7. Total is 52. Duke +7 there, perhaps, Craig?
Well, actually, it's actually all the way up to 8 now. This line opened at 10. And was bet down pretty decisively to that key number of 7, then back to 7.5. Now, at the time of taping here on Wednesday, it's at 8, and I do like a little bit of that underdog action here with Duke. I think Notre Dame, the last 3 games, are 0-3 against the spread. They did not look good against Michigan, which we know Michigan's had their issues this year. Maybe those issues have been fixed, and maybe Michigan's better than what everybody thinks, but I kind of think that just Notre Dame didn't play well. They did not play well. This is not a good Virginia Tech team that they nearly lost to last time out. And USC, not the greatest USC team ever, and they struggled to beat them as well. Granted, they did win 2 of those 3, but I think that's the case here today. I think they win this, or in this matchup, I think they win. But I just don't like Ian Book. He makes the plays when, to get you to the first down, you need it. But, man, I don't like this kind of guy that has to come through on the road here. I just think Brian Kelly, you just got to go out and get him an elite level quarterback. I don't think Ian Book is that. Not that Quentin Harris is that much better for David Cutcliffe and Duke here, but I like getting more than a touchdown here in a matchup that is an easy letdown spot for Notre Dame when you look at that Duke lost to North Carolina last time out and hasn't really played well in the recent games. I think the odds maker's telling you that this line is dropped. In the public coming on in that is a deciding factor for me, because to me you're playing the number as much as you're playing the teams. Remember, they also lost 48-14 at Virginia 2 back. So I mean, a team that hasn't looked good, and then all of a sudden the line drops. So it tells me Duke's a live underdog here. Let's take Duke plus the 8. And once again, I'm betting against one of my favorite teams in Notre Dame. So that cautionary tale here.
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, Quentin Harris keeps throwing interceptions. So, I mean, you never know what's going to happen with this scoreline, quite honestly. I mean, he's thrown, almost as many interceptions as he has touchdown passes. So that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Coming from David Cutcliffe, that's as known as the quarterback whisperer. Of course, he's known for the Manning brothers. Both of them kind of came through his lineage. And Daniel Jones, that plays for the Giants, of course, came and just left to go to the NFL from this team. And that was big shoes. I don't think they thought before last year Daniel Jones was going to leave early. So Quentin Harris maybe not as ready. But I think in this one, the line tells me to bet Duke here at 8 points.
All right, you got it. All right, Craig, just a couple minutes left. Any specials going on the website right now? I know we had the $4.99 college basketball special for tip-off. Is that still going on?
Yeah, it's through Monday or Tuesday, I believe, and it's actually $4.49.
Oh,
so even better deal,
when we put
$4.49.
$4.99 up on the screen, and it's actually, you see,
4.49.
you get $50 off just because I talked you into it, right?
That's right, $4.49. Go over to PicksParlays.net, pick out your favorite handicapper, and get in for that's college basketball all the way through the Final Four, through the national championship game. So you're going to get like almost 4 months, actually a little more than 4 months of picks. And of course, we have our 30-day, 7-day, and 3-day passes for any expert up as well.
All right, visit us on picksandparlays.net. Craig Trapp, thank you so much. Up next, Sean Higgs, NFL. Stay with us. I'll be right back.
Do you use the blue pill to charge your sex life? Have you been thinking about trying the blue pill? What if we could promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pill delivers the exact same results for less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for the other blue pills. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in a non-marked package. 800-223-0992. 800-223-0992. 800-223-0992. That's 800-223-0992.
If you or a loved one is suffering from a physical or emotional condition that has left you unable to work, then listen carefully. Take this number down. 800-593-7491. That's 800-593-7491. When you call, you'll speak with a Social Security disability expert and get a free evaluation to see if you may qualify for disability insurance benefits from the U.S. government. That's right, a monthly cash payment paid directly to you from the Social Security Administration. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied disability benefits, call now. The disability attorneys at Pinnacle Disability can help you build your case, file an appeal, and represent you at no upfront cost to you. Don't wait another minute to see if you may qualify for your Social Security disability benefits. Call Pinnacle Disability Group at 800-593-7491 for your free case evaluation. That's 800-593-7491. 800-593-7491. Call now.
Attention business owners. Are you struggling while waiting for your customers to pay on their net 30, 60, or 90-day invoices? Can't get a business loan? Have no equity? Bad credit? Or maybe no credit at all? Then you need to call AmeriFactors right now. AmeriFactors will give you cash for your invoices and there's nothing to pay back. We simply buy your account receivables, and if those clients don't pay on the invoices, we take the loss. We give you funds based on your account receivables, not your credit. And 98% of all applicants are approved. It's that simple. With AmeriFactors, there's no more waiting for your customers to pay. We give you the funds up front, then we wait for your customers to pay us. Fund your business today. Call AmeriFactors right now.
800-847-1183. 800-847-1183. 800-847-1183. That's 800-847-1183.
You're bringing your mouse?
All right, welcome back. Picks and Parlays here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and streaming on iHeartRadio and TuneIn. Look, we're everywhere you want to be. Picks and Parlays. Visit us on the website, picksandparlays.net. I'm your host, Nick Gieber, in for Chelsea Messenger, and we promised we would give you some NFL up next, so we brought in our special and favorite NFL handicapper, Deshaun Higgs, the legend himself. Deshaun, let's do Falcons, Saints, Panthers, Packers, and Vikings, Cowboys. Sound good to you?
Why not? Let's go.
All right, well, let's do it. Let's kick it all off, shall we? This one's interesting for me, by the way. This is Atlanta at New Orleans. Just a little weird trivia here. Both of these teams, their home stadium is the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Now, that's a little odd.
Well, you got the money to spend.
Yeah.
Name it whatever you want. There could be 50 of them.
Maybe they're just
I'm not a
overpriced, the
Mercedes guy.
cars.
I like BMW myself over.
Oh, okay.
over
So
the
you prefer
Benzes,
the
but-
BMW Stadion.
Yeah, the BMW.
Okay.
Yes, I take it. I like the seven. I like those big 750s. They're nice.
Well,
I'm a
this
big
is
guy. I need the room.
yeah, exactly. For and of course, being the expert handicapper that you are, no doubt, you need a car that big to carry around the copious amounts of cash that you win every day
Yes.
as a sports bettor. But let's move on, shall we? Because this is a team of one. This is a story which can be really summarized very simply. One team sucks and the other team doesn't. Let's start with the team that sucks, the Falcons. They're 1-7, 2-6 against the spread. Coming off a bye week, they lost to Seattle 27-20. Matt Ryan was injured, but he's actually listed as probable for Sunday, so I think he's going to be okay. I don't know if that's good or bad, by the way. The Saints are the opposite. They're not 1-7, they're 7-1. They're 6-2 against the spread. They also had a bye week. Saw the return. Their last match saw the return of Drew Brees in that 31-9 win over the Cardinals. Atlanta 5-17 against the spread in their last 22 on the road, and the over has cashed in 4 of the Falcons' last 5 on the road. I don't know. That shouldn't be a surprise, I guess. New Orleans 6-0 against the spread in the last 6. I got New Orleans -12 with a total of 51. What do we got to do to make some money here?
I'm seeing the same numbers, 12, maybe a 13 here and there for Atlanta, but 51. This is interesting, 51.5 maybe. I like the over simply because the Falcons have never had a defense in years now. It's terrible. And sitting at 1-7, I'm shocked that Dan Quinn made it through the bye week. Like everybody else, they'll just got to get fired through the bye week and say, all right, let's promote somebody to get through the end of the year. Here I'm thinking these guys have a chance to win a division when Breeze goes down, and they go in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So, Matty Ryan practiced today. That's great. Historically, he's got nice numbers here against the Saints. He puts up numbers. I mean, you got Ridley, you got Julio Jones. Hooper's a solid tight end, one of the best in the biz. So I think they're going to score here, even against a tough New Orleans team. I was actually shocked that with the Saints having a bye week last week, they elected to bring Breeze back a week before his bye week as opposed to, letting a 39-year-old just sit out another week. What's the big deal? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater did a pretty good job winning in Seattle. He's winning in Chicago. He's beating the Cowboys at home in a 12-10 game. So that kind of shocked me just based on Breeze's age, and he had a bye week. But now he's back. Kamara hopefully should be back, and if he's back 100% or at least near 100% between him and Murray in the backfield, I'm saying over 51.5.
Yeah.
I want to lay the points here. Part of me wants to lay the points with New Orleans, but I don't know. I mean, you'd think that what has Dan Quinn got to lose? He should just throw everything out here and just let Matt Ryan do whatever he's got to do and try to put some points on the board. But this team, since that Super Bowl, since Shanahan left and he's sitting over there doing all right in San Francisco, this team has done nothing offensively. It's terrible. I mean, I just as a franchise, that the owner's got to do something because that's just a waste of talent. You've just wasted a pretty good quarterback in Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. You traded Sanu. This is terrible. The running backs, you bring in Alex Mack a couple years ago. Just as if you're a Falcon fan, you got to feel bad. Let's go, Saints in the over. You know what? I'm laying a 13 with the Saints. Who cares? Saints in the over. I can't back. Wow. Falcons are a terrible franchise.
Well, the Falcons owner's got to be upset because the Atlanta FC, his MLS team, got knocked out in the semifinals of the playoffs. So double disappointment. Look, let's just put it this way. The Falcons are so bad, they actually got credited with their loss during their bye week. I mean, that's pretty bad, right?
We're talking about Miami's tanking, and they're trying to get the first pick. And since I think Cincinnati's the worst team in the league. But here you go. The Falcons, they could conceivably get, if Cincinnati pulls off win, either way, they're going to get a second or third pick maybe. That's insane, as good as that team is. Talent-wise, they're good. But win-wise, they're not good. But, man, if I lived in Atlanta, I can't forget it. Let's move on. I can't even talk about the Falcons.
All right, let's do it. All right. You didn't even laugh at my joke about them losing the bye week, but whatever. Okay.
Because it's just, as a fan, that's just frustrating to waste that team.
Yeah, I forget that you're in the ATL. I keep forgetting that. You must be crying. Okay. Even though you're from New Jersey, but okay. We'll figure that out at a later time. All right, let's do Carolina, Green Bay. Carolina 5-3, 5-3 against the spread, coming off a 30-20 victory over the Titans. Kyle Allen's thrown for 1,291 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in place of injured Cam Newton. Green Bay are 7-2, 6-3 against the spread. They lost only their second game last week in a 26-11 loss to, as Chip Chirimba says, the San Diego Chargers, but we know that it's moved on quite a bit since then. They failed to score at all in the first half. Carolina's 4-1 against the spread in its last 5 on the road. Green Bay 4-0 against the spread in the last 4 versus an opponent with a winning record on a Tuesday when it's overcast, when the Bunions are really, playing up. One of those statistics. I got Green Bay minus 5.5 with a total of 48. What do you think of that?
And what I think, it's weird. That line was at 6 this morning. It's 5.5. And I was liking Green Bay. And now I'm looking, you mentioned the trends on underdog Carolina. I have a 13 in the last 20 covered in number for Ron Rivera's group here. No Cam Newton. I think he's out. They made the move. He's gone. I won't be shocked to see him playing in Chicago or perhaps even the Redskins next year. How about that? So he's probably out of the franchise. This spot, though, the dog trends look nice. And I'm not a Packer guy. I hate Green Bay. But Aaron Rodgers coming off a game with 11 points. I don't know, man. Something just tells me Adams is back. He came back last week, so he's got a game under his belt there. Maybe a little more fluid getting back into the offense. We've seen Green Bay get a little help at home from some officials sometimes. I mean, saw that in a Raider game. And all it takes is a play or two to really set things off.
Complainer. Complain
I'm
about
just
the officials.
saying.
I know. I hear it.
I'm just saying.
It's not their fault.
And on the flip side, though, the Packers defense, I mean, McCaffrey could really tear things up, man. That guy's having a MVP year.
881 yards and 10 touchdowns, to be specific.
Yeah, I just don't know if I could trust a young quarterback like Allen to come in here and beat Aaron Rodgers off a bad game. So I'm going to lay – it's a short number. I'm going to lay it, though, maybe a square play. I'll grab the low-hanging fruit. I'll take Green Bay here at home in a bounce-back spot. Packers is the call.
Okay, let's move along. Vikings at Cowboys. Minnesota are 6-3, 5-4 against the spread, looking to rebound after a road loss to the Chiefs. That was 26-23. They really struggled on the defensive side of the football. They gave up 26 points, 377 yards. For Dallas, they're 5-3, 5-3 against the spread. If you watched them on Monday night, they made it was kind of an interesting game for a little while against the Giants, but then it all went pear-shaped for the Giants. They lost 37-18. Look, the Dallas are 2 in a row. They're looking to make it 3. They are favorites here. It's Cowboys -3, totals 47.5. The under is 9-2 in the Vikings' last 11 against NFC opponents, and the over is 8-3 in the Cowboys' last 11 games overall. Reconcile that for me, please.
Well, I'm actually seeing some 48s here on now in this total. And I'm going to like the under here. I'm going to go under. I'm a Cowboy guy. I like the Cowboys. Somehow I pulled out the miracle Cowboys and the over on Monday night on a sack strip fumble, run it back for a 63 yards touchdown. But there's no way I am laying 3 points at home here with the Clapper. I hate, we talk about when we do Dallas games. I hate this head coach. He's terrible. Give me Zimmerman on the other side. Zimmer's a great head coach over there. And they're going to want to run the ball, establish Cook. Cousins on the road has not been a recipe for success. I had Minnesota last week plus 2.5. By the time the game runs around, they're 5-point faves. And you just get up a little bit, and they play this conservative stuff. So I think we're going to see an under here. Dallas getting healthy, offensive line back, so you're not going to get a steady diet of Zeke, and then try to get it down to Cooper or Gallup or whatever. Dallas defense is a little underrated. I mean, what did they turn the ball over like 10 times on Monday night? It was crazy. I mean, like, you turn the ball over on your 5-yard line and you hold the team to a field goal. It's pretty good in today's NFL. No crazy pass interference in the end zone. I mean, so Dallas defense, I think, is a little underrated. They haven't played the best ball, but I like the under here, 48. You said 47.5 around. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it'll be like a 23-20 type game here. Point-wise, I don't know, maybe Dallas money line if you want to get into that kind of stuff. But I think
what is the money line on Dallas
for this game? Yeah, a money line with 3 is probably going to be like, I don't even know. I'm not I don't do money lines at 3. Maybe at like 1 I'll do them, but if I'm taking a dog at that point, I'll probably take him a 140 or something. I'm not taking a fave -3 money line.
I know. Got you on that. That makes perfect sense. Deshaun,
some sports, it'll live different. NFL, though, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, fair enough. Deshaun, very quickly, tell us about what's available from you at picksandparlays.net.
Well, college hoops has arrived. And if you remember on Monday, I told you were asking me about the big boys playing Duke and your Michigan States. I said, Houston Baptist for me. And they covered for us there.
Oh,
we got
nice.
So I'm excited. That was a good way to start. Although I did have a couple 2-point losers. It was but whatever. College hoops this year. I got college hoops up. I got college football for Thursday, for Friday. I already got college basketball for Friday circled. So it's gonna be a great November. I'm excited. We got college basketball every day, NFL, college football, Thanksgiving. I mean, what more do you need, Nick? Maybe
right.
Soccer for you, some premier soccer picks.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you some of that tomorrow. By the way, don't forget right now a special $449 at picksandparlays.net, our college basketball special through the end of season. Deshaun Higgs, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you later on this week and next week. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. College football with the Duff Man. The Duff Man cometh, and so do I in 3 minutes.
Man. All right, Nick.
All right, welcome back to the show, Picks and Parlays. I'm your host, Nick Gieber, in for Chelsea Messenger, who is, by the way, on maternity leave. I know we've had a lot of people wondering where Chelsea is. That's where she is, so I am stepping in for her. You can find me on Twitter, at Nick Gieber. This is basically the best show on radio if you like to bet on sports, because we give you so many free picks that if you're not really pleased with what we're giving you, there's something wrong with you, because we give you a lot of winners. Look, that's just how it is. If you're going to go put down your hard-earned dosh, make sure you do it with a little bit of education behind it, with some intelligence. And that's why we bring the best in the professional handicappers to you on this show. You can find them all at picksandparlays.net. I promised that the Duff Man would come, and he is here with us right now, Joe Duffy. Joe, welcome to the show. How's your regression to the means going?
It's not doing very well, St. Nicholas. Look, you know I'm a very sensitive man, and I heard you tell Deshaun Higgs he is your favorite NFL handicapper. So I'm playing hurt. You know, just like an athlete, I'm going to get through this segment, but I am definitely playing hurt.
Well, get over it, because I have you here to talk a little college football. You can regress to your mean all you want with some college football. We'll have you on another time for NFL. We'll hold. But I didn't realize that Deshaun was quite such a Falcons fan. I made a joke about the Falcons, and he nearly cried on the air. Oh, my goodness.
I didn't even know he was from Atlanta. I honestly did not know. I've known who he was for a long time. I had no idea he lives in Atlanta. So I just found that out your last segment.
He's from your neck of the woods, by the way, New Jersey originally. All right, well, let's get to it, shall we? College football, Stanford at Colorado. Should we start with that one? Stanford 4-4, 3-5 against the spread. Their last game was a win against the Wildcats, 41-31. Colorado 3-6. They're 4-5 against the spread. They lost against the best team in college football. You heard it, the UCLA Bruins last time out. That is the team that Alabama wants to be when they grow up. Here are little trends for you. The over is 9-3 in the Cardinals' last 12 road games. That would be Stanford if you don't know who the Cardinals are. And the over is 5-2 in the Buffalo's last 7 games on grass. If they smoke grass, it's not quite as bad, but we'll see where that goes. But I think there are 2 trends here telling you the over. We've got Stanford minus 3.5. The total 54.5. Duffman, have at it.
Well, the pure numbers suggest that these teams might be a little bit closer than the one-loss records indicate. And I've said it time and time again, there's probably not a more deceptive stat when it comes to sports handicapping than one-loss record, because we're picking games against the spread. We're looking for teams that are actually better than their record indicates, teams that are worse than their record indicates. I still say of all the stats out there, what I like to use is yards per rush, yards per pass, and yards per play relative to what their opponent normally allows, or on defense relative to what their opponent normally gets. Stanford's minus 0.4 on offense. Colorado's only minus 0.1, so that would imply that Colorado's offense might be a little bit better. Stanford minus 0.2 on defense. Colorado minus 0.5, but you got to look past those numbers. Why is Colorado a road favorite here? Well, a couple reasons. KJ Costello is back for Stanford. They're clearly much better with him at quarterback. I mean, it's a huge drop-off. Remember, early in the year, Stanford was considered a big contender, maybe even to knock off the greatest team in the country, UCLA, and win the Pac-12. But the main reason that they've been a disappointment this year is because KJ Costello hasn't been healthy. They've had their share of injuries. Remember, he was the most efficient quarterback in the Pac-12 last year. So this is a better Stanford team than we've seen on the field most of the year. I know I've said football is, college football is more of a momentum sport as opposed to the NFL, where I regress to the mean. Stanford's certainly playing much better football as of late. They've won 3 of 4, while Colorado has lost their last 5. Again, most of my angles as far as momentum have to do when the hot team is playing with momentum. It's still, all in all, I do think, the needed lift, both in reality, where they got more talent quarterback, and they give them a little bit of an emotional lift. Stanford gets that with KJ Costello, so I'll lay the points on the road.
KJ Costello, I could have gone with Elvis Costello or Abbott and Costello, but I think they're doing all right with KJ
I had
Costello.
some friends that saw Elvis Costello last night, I think.
Oh, I constantly keep trying to see Elvis Costello here in Las Vegas when he comes to play, but the last 2 times I bought tickets, he's canceled, which is ridiculous. The last time in protest to Steve Wynn's dalliances, because it was going to be at the Wynn, with various masseuses, whatever. Okay, we'll leave that one there. It is. I guess Robert Kraft and Steve Wynn have something in common, right? Okay, let's go, shall we? Louisville at Miami. Louisville 5-3, 5-3 against the spread. Their most recent game, keep catching myself here. Most recent game was a 28-21 win against Virginia. Defensively, they were solid against Virginia. They held them to just 21 points. They forced 2 turnovers. Miami 5-4, 5-4 against the spread. Back-to-back wins over Florida State and Pittsburgh, holding Florida State to 10 points and only 203 yards. The Cardinals are 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 following a win. The over is 5-1 in the Cardinals' last 6 road games. We have Miami minus 5.5, total 51.5. How do you see this one?
Yeah, well, want to keep a fairly close eye on the injury report. Hassan Hall, who's the Cardinals' leading kickoff returner and backup running back, he's questionable, and especially when you're talking about a large, fairly large number, he can be a key player. Plenty of motivation here. Cardinals, they need one more win to become bowl eligible, but as I always like to say, that motivation. The flip side of that is sometimes there's more pressure, and especially at the collegiate level, maybe the pressure can get to you. So I don't know if there's a huge handicapping advantage or disadvantage there. We could do the motivation versus pressure debate, for 22 minutes and have a pretty good one. The Cards' Scott Satterfield, he was 19-5 straight up in the final month of the season at Appalachian State. So the theory being, and especially here, he's learning his team, that he's a very good coach late in the year and that he should peak again. The Cards are coming off a bye week, which is, I think, a little bit more important deep into the season when you could really use the bye week. Miami, they could be having a little bit of a letdown off of road wins at Pittsburgh and, of course, at Florida State. Now, it sets up a very rare situation, St. Nick, when you have home favorites off of consecutive wins as road underdogs. Fading that team is 31-18, and that would favor the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a very good rushing. They average 218 rushing yards per game, but they go up against the Hurricanes' strength. They've only allowed 3 teams, Miami has, to rush for over 100 yards. So probably going to be really how this game's decided. Can Louisville run the ball? Miami only gives up 4.9 yards per rush, or Louisville gets 4.9 yards per rush to teams that normally allow just 4.3. So again, it's kind of strength against strength as Miami holds teams to 0.8 yards per carry, below their normal average, but it's still a lot of points. And like I said, this is kind of a schedule maker thing. Possible mini letdown for Miami and Louisville, a little bit more rested mentally and physically. I think you got to take the points here.
All right. Got to take the points. You got it. Louisville at Miami. Let's move on, shall we? Wake Forest at Virginia Tech. Wake Forest is 7-1, 4-3-1 against the spread. Wake Forest is second in the ACC Atlantic. They beat NC State last week, 44-10. They're 2-0 on the road this season. Virginia Tech 5-3, 3-5 against the spread. They lost a close one on the road, 21-20 to Notre Dame. Virginia Tech's 4-1 at home this season. Total's gone under in 5 of Wake Forest's last 6 games. Wake Forest are 9-1 straight up, though, in their last 10 games. So we have Wake Forest -3 with a total of 65. Sound about right to you?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yes, 62. I think it was 62. My pick is going to be on the side, but yeah, it was in the 60s.
In the 60s. So, okay, well, it's going to be a fun game to watch, obviously.
Yes. This is a case where Virginia Tech quarterback Hendon Hooker, he did miss the 1-point loss to Notre Dame. So Virginia Tech, if there is such thing as a nice little confidence builder, I definitely think that was. He is still questionable. Basically, if he can play, he will be the starting quarterback. Now, this is another thing. I don't put a lot of stock in this, but something to throw out there. Look, I know from my Scorefilling days, a journeyman handicapper, he loves stuff like that. He called it intangibles. Longtime defense coordinator Bud Foster, who's been at Virginia Tech forever, goes back to their glory days. He's retiring. They're having a day honoring him. So, the theory is maybe especially the defense will get a little extra fired up for him. And I will say, and one of my golden rules is you can't just flat out manufacture emotion. So I do think the emotion will be real here. Maybe the crowd will be a little bit more fired up. There was a time that Virginia Tech had one of the toughest home crowds in football. So I do think that's something you don't want to ignore. Wake Forest quarterback Jamie Newman, though, he's going to give a big challenge to Bud Foster this week. He has a conference-leading 337 point yards of total offense. Wake Forest is for real. They're a very good team, to say the least. They've gotten over 400 yards in 10 straight games going back to last year. But here's the thing. You talked about the total, St. Nick. Despite averaging 320 yards passing per game, you got that high total. Wake Forest is actually going under 5 of 6. So maybe a little bit of an inflated total. This is only Wake Forest's 3rd game. So, again, going back to the pre-computer days, I would say, wait a minute. Wake Forest, they're not road tested. But the truth is, When you have an away favorite that has played 2 or fewer road games entering a game and it's game 9 or later, they're actually a pretty good play at 98, 77, and 2. That's 56%. So again, one of those examples where a theory was shot down, a theory that I used to have turned out to be incorrect. Wake Forest is a pretty good play under these circumstances. And like I said, Wake Forest, they're better. If Florida State were playing this good, Florida State would probably be about a 5.5 point favorite, but I do think because it's Wake Forest, you got a little bit of value on them. I do like Wake Forest here.
Yeah, the other side of what you were saying about the sort of emotion of playing up for the defensive coordinator who's leaving and, been there forever and a day. And the flip side of that is that can also motivate the opposition not to get humiliated and not to be, and not to be the recipient of that extra push that you're talking about. So it does, you can look at this both ways. I mean, we see this all the time in all sorts of sports where you think that this sort of big emotional day, they're going to ride on the wave of it. We see it in soccer quite a bit. It is true. A new manager comes in, teams tend to get a little bounce out of it. But, there are sort of a very specific number of instances where that really plays out, but we'll see. So you like Wake Forest for this one and the points, was that right?
Yeah, I like Wake Forest. They're laying the small number, 2.5 points on the road. I do think that they're going to win this contest.
Actually, then that's down from 3, so that's squeezed down a little bit. Yeah. All right, well, Duffer, tell us about what we can find from you at picksandparlays.net.
Yeah, well, hopefully everyone's watching this live. I do have my Wednesday night total of the year, college football. We've had Tuesday and Wednesday. Last night wasn't so great, but it's been a really good year for me as far as totals of the year and games of the year. I got another one going tonight. Also, a nice run in the NBA. Good start to the NBA. Got some NBA plays tonight, and we'll have plenty of plays up this weekend in both college football and the NFL. In fact, looks like I haven't finalized my plays, but looks like it's going to be one of the stronger weeks in the NFL for sure. And all that, Joe Duffy's picks and parlays.net.
All right, Joe, awesome. Yep, you can find Joe at picksandparlays.net. You can find any one of our 35 expert handicappers there. Of course, we've had Craig and Sean. We just had Joe on. Joe, thank you so much. We'll be speak to you later on in the week, no doubt. We're going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to recap all of the picks that we've had from our 3 cappers today. In case you missed it, if you did miss it, don't worry though, because you can always find it at our YouTube channel, which is just search Picks and Parlays on YouTube. You'll see our channel there. And of course, our podcast is put up right after the show at the Believe, BLEAV podcast network. All right, I'll be right back after this.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But The Secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Pick up your phone and call right now. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. Once again, that's 800-932-5517.
Attention business owners. Now is the
cable TV bill for your business. We can give you packages with up to 90 great channels and save your business a ton of cash. And if you call right now, you can learn how to get free equipment and free installation. Now you have choices. It's time to start saving money on your cable TV bill for your business. And call today and get 90 channels plus free equipment and free installation. Smart business owners like you all across the country are consolidating and saving money on their cable TV, internet, and phone service for the business. So now's the perfect time. This may be a limited time offer to the first 100 people that call right now. So please save money and call now.
800-470-7113. 800-470-7113. 800-470-7113. That's 800-470-7113.
Welcome back to the show, Picks and Parlays, here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. And just a reminder, we're with you each and every weekday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're on the left coast, it's 1 p.m. for you. Little afternoon sports betting information, just what the doctor ordered, and the doctor is in during those times. Be sure to tune in. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, streaming live, and streaming live audio on iHeart, and TuneIn as well. We're basically everywhere you want to be. All right, well, we had a lot of picks from our handicappers, Craig, Sean, and Joe. Let's recap them for you just in case you missed any of them. Here we go. Craig Trapp brought us some NBA and college football. Celtics at Hornets. He said take the Celtics -6. Blazers at Clippers. Take the Clippers -6 as well. Notre Dame at Duke. Take Duke. The Blue Devils +7.5. Then we moved on to Deshaun Higgs for some NFL. Falcons at Saints, take the over 51. I know that had to hurt him dearly because of his beloved Falcons. Panthers versus Packers, take the Packers -5. And the Vikings versus the Cowboys, take the under 48. And we topped it all off with some college football from the Duff man himself, Joe Duffy. Stanford at Colorado, take Stanford -3.5. Louisville at Miami, take Louisville +6.5. And Wake Forest at Virginia Tech, take Wake Forest -2.5. Those are our picks. If you want to recap them or see more picks, we have a ton of picks for your personal edification and perusal at our website, picksandparlays.net. Don't be a fool. Head over there. Check out our picks, and when you bet, bet responsibly and bet with intelligence. We're going to provide you with the latter. Unfortunately, we can't provide you with the former. Only you can do that. If you're looking for my Premier League picks, well, they'll be tomorrow on the show. The show will be hosted by Chelsea tomorrow. But if you can't wait, tune in tonight. Fifth Street Soccer, I'll be on Sirius XM 211, Dan Patrick Sports, giving you my breakdown for this weekend in the Premier League. Until then, have an absolutely wonderful evening. Enjoy the sports. We'll chat to you tomorrow. Go to picksandparlays.net. Check us out. Please do. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.